Thank you for joining us today. Just to make sure that you can all hear me, if you can just please type there where you're joining from today, that would be really, really great. Have a little chat button there just to make sure you can all hear me. My name is Jane, and I'm the Head of Customer Success here at ezyCollect, and I'm joining you here from rainy Sydney, unfortunately. Excellent. I can see some people from Melbourne, New Zealand, Sydney. Fantastic. All right. So just a few logistics here. This is a listen-in mode webinar only. So any questions that you have for us during the entire webinar, please pop them in through the Q&A. And if you are having any issues, please chat with us, and our team will be more than happy to help you. Otherwise, we will go through all of your questions at the end of the webinar. And yeah, let's get started. So for today, like I said, I am Jane Evio, Head of Customer Success here in ezyCollect. And today I'm actually joined by two very, very special guests over here. One of our guests is our partner, Eddie Smith from ARMA. So Eddie has been with the business with ARMA for over 15 years, and ARMA is ezyCollect's collection agency partner for the last 5 years. And we have clients using them as an extension of their debt collection process. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. And also we have a very, very special client guest over here, Lisa Arnfield from Skill Invest. She's our finance consultant and business manager. And Skill Invest is a non-for-profit premium employment training specialist that works with different sizes of businesses, ranging from automotive, construction, food and hospitality, and they have over 5,000 customers. Lisa, it's very good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So throughout this webinar, we'll be hearing a lot from Eddie and Lisa. So it's really just good to have these two special guests join us in this webinar today. Now, I just wanted to give a quick context on what we are going to go through in our webinar today. Right. So for today, obviously, we're going to tackle some of the late payment problems that we've had in the B2B space. And as we know, there's been really a distinct and fragmented approach, between the accounts receivables and account payables. So we want to look at the pain points here, which really is, what are they? Looking at manual processes, high labor costs, lack of payments data, as well as, poor visibility of incoming payments or upcoming payments. So let's say you've provided services and products already, but then you're not getting paid, 30, 60, 90 days later. So we want to make sure we tackle all those cash flow challenges and give you some tips and tricks of, 5 winning strategies on how we can help you hopefully eliminate those late payments. And it's really what we find, it's really the need for a more integrated approach and a digital approach on focusing on the needs of both accounts receivables and accounts payables and bridging the gap on these two. So from ezyCollect, obviously, we've been always working with accounts receivables teams. Our clients have been, this has been really their focus. But in saying that, the AR is definitely connected to the AP. So we want to tackle some of the things on how we can help our clients look into the AR approach to combat really late payments. And this is really driving to have a customer-centric approach. As the head of customer success here in ezyCollect, this is what our team does as well. So we want to make sure that every business that we help use ezyCollect can also apply this approach. We talk to a lot of clients on a day-to-day basis, and we wanted to just make sure that we can help our clients get their customers to pay them on time. So I want to just quickly go through a couple of points here on how that can be achieved. So as first you can see here, you want to really give your customers more control. So what does that mean is you want to make sure that you are flexible with your payment terms, and you're also providing multiple payment options for them, whether that's from the beginning of acquiring goods, ordering goods from sales order, purchase order codes, all the way to invoices, from the day you issue them, can they pay that before they're even due or when it's time for collection? And in saying that, you want to also make sure that there is a communication line, from placing these orders, handling order complaints and so forth. If you give that pathway between your customers and your AR team, then they can actually manage that more efficiently. One of the tools that ezyCollect helps in that is the automated communication paths, and in tying that to providing different payment options digitally and online. So we are in the digital age, and you want to make sure that customers are paying you 24/7 or can pay you 24/7, after business hours, on the weekends and so forth. And tying that to that is when you have those different options, then you actually encourage customer loyalty. And from a business perspective, you want to make sure as well that you have that data to back you up. You want to make sure that it's very easy for your customers to do business with you, and at the same time you have that data. We talk about who's going to pay me late or who's going to pay me tomorrow, right? You have those consolidated overview of your customers and how your customers' businesses are going. If, for example, they are paying you on time, you want to incentivize these customers and keep them, maybe do more business with them, extend the credit terms for those. And for those that are paying you late, right, look at the risk involving their business. Do you have that visibility in front of you and in front of your AR team to know that perhaps they're struggling today, with the COVID challenges, and maybe apply a personal approach to these customers, pick up the phone and understand, why they're struggling to pay you with these invoices. Do you need to extend, put an installment payment plan for them to ensure that they can pay you rather than just saying, we don't want to do business with you. And this is to ensure that you then build a really a long-lasting relationship with these customers rather than just brushing them off and putting them on the side, because as we all know, it's really hard to get new customers in place, while it's much easier to keep the existing customers in place. So with all these little tips, you can then create an open dialogue and a deeper relationship, like I said. Now, we'll go through into more details into this one, and Eddie, who has had a lot of experience in, in the collection process and with experience from our clients, I want to hear on the 5 winning strategies actually that we have here planned for you today. All right, Eddie. So in this part, Ellie will join me to just go through some of these strategies to make sure that you can have a faster and effective debt collection. Eddie, what do we know about our customers?
Oh, well, this is where it all starts, I think. I think the best organisations realise that this is where you've got to set yourself up for success, I guess. And it can be very easy to overlook this, I guess. A lot of businesses get excited about the new customer, the sale, and move towards, I guess, servicing that customer in the delivery. But it's really crucial to ensure that you really start to understand your customer. So what I talk about here is, how well do you actually know the business, right? Where do they operate? What do they do? Who are the actual owners, right? It's all well and good that you've spoken with a supply manager, maybe it be an account manager, but who are the people actually running the business and the people who are going to be making the decisions on, I guess, authorising your payment? And we talk about credit checking being an essential step, but I think especially during this environment, it's looking beyond that and trying to form deeper relationships. Exactly what Jane was talking about there is to truly understanding who your customers are, what they do, and how do we best, I guess, work with them. But it's an interesting point. I think we were going to have a poll here just around understanding which of you within the webinar or who of you in the webinar utilises credit checking as a tool for them to be able to understand, I guess, or get a better insight into that customer's financial position. So really keen to kind of understand that a little bit.
Yeah, so there's just a little poll that pops onto your screen, if you can just quickly answer that. Look, it's really interesting, Eddie, that you mentioned that, because I speak to a lot of customers and they say they do credit checks in the beginning. And then after that, it's like, yeah, we've done it before. And that may have been like years and years ago. So you're not sure, right? So are you saying like it should be ongoing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely that initial when you're assessing that customer, but it's also making sure that you are monitoring or you're keeping across, I guess, any changes that happen in the business. There's a lot of great products out there that allow you to do that pretty autonomously, where you can just set up an alert if there's changes, I guess severe ones that may be in regards to credit defaults, potential legal action. Obviously, those are really serious red flags, but there's also some other stuff, maybe change of ownership, change of directors, some smaller stuff that you can kind of pick up on. And it could be worthwhile just sending a salesperson out there and saying, oh, yep, what's happening? Is there new directors, new owners? You know, is anything worth letting us know about? And I think that's always key. But yeah, it's really easy to do most of that stuff. What else are we talking about there? So yeah, I think this gets overlooked a lot. Is while you might have relationships with certain people within the business, it's also key to actually understanding the finance team and the contacts there. We see a lot of the time when debts come through to us at a late stage that we have a certain contact within the business who actually has no authorization or responsibility for paying the bills. And,
right.
I could see how that would be quite challenging for a business to try and get that paid if they're directing all their communication or their efforts to a certain individual who actually that's not part of their role. So I think it's key to be able to understand, identify who those finance contacts are and ensure that they are getting the communication that ensures that they can pay your bill.
Absolutely. So just to summarize what you just said there, obviously credit checks and, looking at the credit scores in the beginning is definitely key. And then ongoing checks, like you said, monitoring and looking at their risk levels as you do business with them. So just to let you know, we actually have this in the platform in ezyCollect, from inception of credit applications all the way to grading their credit scores and, having that data to provide to our clients to say, hey, yep, this is the late payment risk score and failure risk score that you have. And this is ongoing. So we actually look at, how late they're paying our clients. At the same time, we also provide the risk levels, whether they're in the medium or high risk. So then they can assess, whether they're still in the right credit terms, are we still offering, should we still be delivering products to these customers, and so forth. It's definitely key to have that monitored. You want to be proactive rather than really reactive.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and now when you know that your customers then sets all these terms and conditions, obviously the next key is?
Yeah, just making it easy as possible for them to pay you.
Oh, sorry. Got really excited and moved to the next one already.
We're on this one? Yeah. I think what we're just talking about here is making it easy as possible for your customers to pay you. We talk about self-service capabilities. How can they come to you and pay their bill when you're potentially not there? Is there web portals? Is there IVRs? Is there means for them to be able to make those payments after hours? And then a pretty obvious one is, things like pay now buttons. I know ezyCollect has got a lot of that functionality that just allows a customer to read the communication, act on it, and then resolve that account as quickly as possible. So, just some little ideas there, but can be really effective if your customers are engaging, I guess, digitally with you. You absolutely want to ensure that they're following through and making those payments.
Absolutely. If you have that payment portal like we do in ezyCollect, so you allow your customers to actually just view and download their invoices at any point of time. And I know one of the reasons why customers tend to delay making payments, like, oh, I didn't get a copy of the invoice. But it removes that excuse really to it's all there, right? You can actually log in and see all of your overdue invoices, make partial payments, if you can't afford to pay all the invoices, but then again, give them that flexibility, like you said, after hours payment. That's really important.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what about this one, Eddie?
Yeah, so again, a really interesting one, especially over the last 12 months, where I'm sure there's been many scenarios where you've asked the customer and said, oh, cool, how are you going to make this payment? Can you make it all in one lump sum? And I think a lot of businesses have been faced with some tricky decisions around how they're going to manage their cash flow. And I think offering different options, whether that be, I guess, a down payment, a smaller payment to initially get started, to be able to get some commitment out of them to obviously help you guys, but also looking at installment plans. You know, I know that our business has, I guess, lived off those installment plans, especially over the last 12 months when we're faced with customers who might be dealing with hardship or some challenges. And just getting commitment out of them to be able to, look to pay off that debt is key. A lot of the time, what we typically do is, set a short-term installment plan. So that may be over a monthly period where we're getting weekly payments. It could be over a 3-month period. And we're letting them know that once we get to that, we'll then have another conversation with them. We're hoping that your business might be in a better position for you to be able to pay that off. But it's really working with them and ensuring that, they're comfortable and not putting too much pressure on them if they have serious concerns, but ensuring that they are actually paying down the debt as quickly as possible. An interesting one that we've certainly tried, I know obviously the buzzword over the last 3 or 4 years is that buy now, pay later. And I guess in the trade credit world, we've always been, buy now, pay later. But that 4 equal installments is an interesting one. And it's whether it's just a trigger or whether it's the millennials, but being able to pay something off in 4 equal installments, releases, the pressure on that customer. And it gives them a way to be able to, continue to work with you guys. So it's something that we've tested and trialed across a lot of our debts. As a more of a late stage campaign to say, hey, would you be interested in paying this off in 4 equal installments, given that it seems to be the buzzword at the moment. So that was a trick that we're seeing some pretty good results from at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Eddie. I think we've also seen that trend with our clients. Obviously splitting, the invoices to make monthly or weekly payments. But in addition to that, we actually have what we call settle now and pay later. Similar concept, but essentially it's on the invoice financing side, wherein if you want these goods to be delivered and so forth, then you can actually, we've partnered with another provider for that they can provide invoice financing that goes for 30, 60 or 90 days. So definitely helps in terms of the cash flow, but it's really interesting to see that it flows through all the way to the debt collection stage, especially when someone is on struggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really key here is making, payments, right? And very flexible payment options.
Yeah, certainly is.
So this is something I've touched on a little bit earlier, but can you walk me through a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so this is just, what we talk about here is leveraging technology to be able to communicate and engage with your customers. I think ezyCollect has definitely led that by obviously providing a digital collection platform. And that absolutely is a great way to be really quick and efficient and be able to get some feedback in regards to, are they opening it? Are they reading it? Are they, following through on the actions? But it's really understanding how your customers are responding to that. The old school ones might still respond better to a phone call, at a certain period in the month. Others love an email at 9 p.m. at night. Others interact via SMS. So it's learning from that over that, customer relationship period and ensuring that you're catering towards it. Another point there, especially, again, over the last 12 months is not always ruling out, that physical contact as well, where possible. But what we did notice, and it doesn't have to be in a debt collection type conversation, but sending a sales rep out to their business to be able to see them face to face, to be able to have that conversation, and also bring up the fact that there's outstanding invoices. We've seen that work really well. So it's just blending all those different, channels that are available to you and learning from them, and then ensuring that you're, mirroring the past behavior from the customers and maximizing that for future interactions.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Now, do you think that now we're out of lockdown, people are actually seeing clients again? Because I was speaking to one of our partners yesterday and she was like, oh, it's my first time to see clients, and it happened to be Melbourne Cup. So we just mixed business and pleasure and it was really fun. And so I was like,
time.
Oh, that's really great, but then again, she was like, I've been doing Zoom for the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, if you're anything like me, you've got some Zoom fatigue. So I'm sure, face-to-face meetings and that face-to-face interaction would be key. And I'm sure your customers would love to see you So yeah, it's it's a great way to, I guess, build that engagement. There's might be opportunities to be able to sell as well, and look to be able to build those relationships. But absolutely, I would be. I'm sure the customers are very open to seeing you guys face to face, and I think it's going to be an effective tool, especially as we come out of lockdowns and people be, very much inclined in meeting face to face.
Absolutely. And just looking at the engagements, you mentioned earlier phone call still works, and we definitely suggest that because I guess it has that very personal approach, especially if businesses are struggling. What I've also seen are clients applying SMS as part of, their collection tool, right? Like part of their automation as well, just because I think everyone's on their phone anyways.
Yeah.
So might as well just send the messages and again, ensuring, tying in what we talked about, having payments available through that SMS, right? So when they click a button, they can just go and see their invoices and make payments. So it's really crucial to have those different communication types applied to different processes in your business and also different types of business. I think B2C, the SMS really works. And obviously email will always be a part of that.
Yeah.
Well, now looking at the last one, this is really interesting, obviously, because this is what ARMA's all about. And we also really want to educate our clients that not to be afraid of debt collection.
Yeah, absolutely. This really talks to the partnership that I guess ezyCollect and ARMA have, and how we want to be seen to your customers, which is really an extension of the AR team or the ezyCollect digital collection process. And where I think it works best is once you have that really clear and consistent internal process, you then know that when it gets to a certain stage or it gets to a certain age, you've done everything possible to be able to collect that debt. And at that stage, you're probably best, handing it over to the experts and letting someone else, I guess, step in there and try and get a result, as opposed to kind of spinning your wheels a little bit if you're not getting an action. And so that's where I think the best organizations leverage our skills. They know that they've got the policy, they've got the process set. When it gets to 60 days, they've done X, Y, and Z. They might have one final step where they might have the owner call them. And once they've done that, bang, it moves on to the collection agency. I also wanted to raise, I know there can be some hesitation around, but then we're going to, have to spend money where we still think we're going to be able to collect it. And one of the key things to look at is looking at what we call a cost clause in your terms and conditions. So if you have the ability to be able to pass on the collection costs, so whether that be, I guess, fixed fee, letter fees that we're sending, whether it be commission charges, or whether at a later stage it be legal fees, if you look to incorporate that into your agreement, you can then pass that on to your customers. Now, not always do you want to do that. You might still want to work with them. You also might not want to penalise them, but it gives you a bit of leverage throughout that late stage process to say, hey, it is escalating. You did commit to these terms and conditions. If it does get any further, the debt's going to go from, $10,000 to $11,000. I want to try and get this sort of for you as quick as possible. So it's good for leverage, but it also is a cost-saving exercise that we can definitely pass on to our customers when we're successful at collecting our costs. It means that the out-of-pocket expense for our customers is very minimal. I talk about the sweet spot there. We talk about anywhere between 60 to 90 days. Again, it's all based on, I guess, what internal processes you guys have. But what we typically see that for customers that leave it too late, that's when we're, faced with some greater challenges. The business might have moved. They may have, shut down. The owners might have changed location. It gets a little bit trickier for us to be able to navigate that process. So it's really key in understanding what is that sweet spot in regards to timing, and committing to that, and ensuring that you have that free flowing process that goes from, I guess, the internal to what we call external. One of the cool functionalities that we worked with ezyCollect is around if we've got multiple customers that need to be referred at any one stage. Now, previously we used to do it, I guess, click by click. but we've built in a new service where if there's multiple customers that you could say at the end of the month that hit that 60 or 90-day mark, there is a batch referral functionality there, which allows you to basically lift and shift those accounts over to us, and for us to be able to step in there and try and get those resolved for you. The final point there is probably... Definitely. Yep, you go.
Sorry, Eddie, just want to mention that's definitely one of the things that our clients told us, like we have to escalate, 100 customers. How do we do this in a better process? And we listened and we made it happen. And so it's really just like click, click, and then over to ARMA.
Yeah, we see that a lot, right? Especially as organisations, put a focus on their AR. They engage someone like ezyCollect. They want to clean up their ledger. They look at it and go, all right, we need to do a bit of a health check here. We've got a lot of accounts that we've kind of been umming and ahhing what we do with them. And that's where we can kind of step in there. We can lift and shift all those accounts over to us, and we can start to get some results for you guys there. But one of the key factors that we also sometimes see through ezyCollect customers is around, well, I still want to have these guys as a customer. I'm a little bit worried that, you are communicating with them is going to, impact the relationship. And that absolutely shouldn't be a concern, right? We work with all types of businesses at different ages, whether that be as soon as maybe 10 days overdue or as late as 2 years overdue. All right. And our goal is always to ensure that we're representing your company in the best way, right? And that's that customer-centric approach to ensure that we're, in some cases, rehabilitating that customer, re-educating them around how to work with you guys, what were the terms that they commit to. And we want to ensure that you can continue to partner with them. And a lot of the time, what you find is that it actually brings them back into line with being a good payer, because they've kind of felt, oh, it does get escalated. They've been educated. We've talked them through exactly what the terms are. And you'll find, moving forward is that they're a far better payer than what they were previously. So, yeah, it's definitely not to be seen as this final resort. We've got the bad guys on them. We want to work with your customers and bring them back in line and turn them into great customers again for you.
Fantastic. Look, Eddie, I just wanted to ask you, because you mentioned in the clauses in terms and conditions, sometimes we have clients asking us about this. And we're like, oh, we've never even considered that, or we don't have that. Is this something that ARMA can help with, to look at their T's and C's? Or?
Yeah, we certainly can. And it's a big question. You kind of go, where do you start, right? What clauses do you need in there? What legislation, what jurisdiction? But there is definitely some things that we can help you out with there. So either it's done through ARMA, and we've got consultants here, and we also partner with a specialised debt recovery law firm who can provide some guidance there. So if you wanted to get us to have a quick review over them to see if it's all up to date, or if it particularly has things like cost clauses, feel free to reach out. Happy to have a conversation and run eyes over it. And if we see there's improvements, we can certainly help you out there.
Fantastic. That's really good to hear, Eddie. I just wanted to add here, because you said 60 to 90 days is typically the sweet spot here. And I know that when we onboard clients, sometimes, they all want their customers to go to the first follow-up, but that's not always the case. They will have these already, aging debtors in their book. And their question is like, should we let them go through all these reminders? I said, look, perhaps, you can do like a separate reminders for them. Like it could be an on-demand, because obviously they're already past these due dates. And then you don't have to wait till they reach, to the last follow-up. You can essentially escalate them to ARMA, right? Because again, the key is actioning them as soon as you can rather than waiting. Like Eddie said, don't leave it too late.
Yeah, and mixing it up. If you're just doing stuff that you might have previously done at an early stage and didn't get a result, then, there's a strong chance you might continue to get, I guess, no engagement out of them. So it's identifying those customers and acting swiftly, I think, is the key there. Understanding where you're in the process. And if you need to leverage, I guess, the experts with a third-party collection agency, we can certainly step in there and change it up and see if we can get a result.
Absolutely. Hey, Eddie, I just wanted to answer this question that was raised in Q&A, because it's very related to what we were discussing. And someone has asked in the Q&A, what can be done in the debt collection arena when customer vanishes and become uncontactable?
Yeah. There's certainly a lot that can be done there.
Powers?
without giving away all our tips and tricks, look, I guess most collection agencies get access to unique databases, which allows us to be able to get access to information around new address details, new email addresses, new contact details. There's the credit bureau, which has a lot of information around the business, but most of the time you need to look a little bit deeper and look at the owners or look at the directors. And so we've got different databases that we can access to be able to get or see if we can get new information. So we've had a lot of businesses turn to us and say, look, this business has skipped, this business has closed down, how do we find the people that we were previously contacting with? And we can run that through what we call a skip trace report, and we can hit all those different databases and come back to you with a report to say, look, we've got a match here, we couldn't find this, but looks like we've got a lead here. And then we can continue to pursue that. So it is definitely a tool in our toolkit. And, we can certainly help you guys if you're feeling like the customer is just completely disengaged and just haven't been able to get in contact with them. Most certainly don't give up there. Let us know, get in contact, and we can see if we can help you out.
Fantastic. That's really good to hear. And I think it also ties, when you monitor your customers' life cycle, right? So if they're going into that, maybe there's a change of ownership, you get that alert, if you're monitoring your customers in ezyCollect, and then you can do a credit check right there and then, and maybe pick up the phone and see, and, is John still the director of that business or no? Jane's now the business owner.
Exactly
right? There's
right.
a change there, and then you can change your credit terms right away, or perhaps be on the top of their list to get paid first rather than all the other suppliers that are on the pipeline.
Yeah,
excellent.
Exactly.
All right, so those are really great tips, Eddie. Now I know for the next one we're going to look at we're going to go over Lisa here. So Lisa from Skill Invest has obviously been using ezyCollect and also ARMA. So she has a lot, obviously, to share with us today. Now, Lisa, just to get a complete overview, can you just let us know, or let our attendees know, what was the biggest pain points and frustrations, before ezyCollect and before using ezyCollect and ARMA?
So we're a very large organisation, as you previously mentioned, and we had some older server-based software packages that I walked into, and we had only a handful of staff that were actually having to manage everything manually. So it was diary entries or Outlook reminders and stuff like that. We were just really not getting ahead of the system and ahead of basically the debt collection process in itself, because there's so much that had to be done. And because of our organisation being so diverse, we're also dealing with, students, we're dealing with host employers, we're dealing with quite large organisations, right through to family-run farms where they're employing their own children. So it's very, very difficult. It's sort of not one process fits all. And that was quite complex for us and quite difficult. And we needed to find a solution to move forward. And that's where ezyCollect and ARMA Group came in.
And what were the specific solutions that made you look for something like ezyCollect? Because I know obviously there's a lot available there, and with all these problems that you say, there's manual processes on the side, and finding the right ERP as well to handle your ledger and all that stuff. That's already a big job by itself, right? What made you look for a platform like ezyCollect in terms of, okay, this is sort of like the right solution for us?
So we looked at basically a holistic approach. So obviously we didn't want to run individual companies because we have got a few different arms. We wanted a holistic approach that we could integrate with MyOb Advanced, because we use MyOb Advanced as our main finance platform. And we wanted the full sort of a flow through effect where one system talks to the rest and they all work very nicely and cohesively together and give us the outcome that we needed. So a lot of investigation went into what would be the best suited programs and solutions for our organisation. And it was an absolute no-brainer in the end. It was just, it definitely, you know, the partnership between ezyCollect and ARMA Group, it just works. And I cannot thank you guys enough. So yeah, it's fantastic. Would highly recommend it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Lisa. I think that's the key, right, is to have that integrated and seamless approach, you know, integrating from MyARMA to ezyCollect and then ezyCollect to ARMA, and then you have the online payment solution. So I just want to show here, like, what was achieved after using ezyCollect and the impact for Skill Invest, right? And so this is actually an average for 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Lisa?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So there is obviously a big impact here. We were able to use automation and invoices being sent out via ezyCollect, and as well as communication. So over 5,000, you know, over a course of 6 months. Imagine sending that one by one manually and having that communication and reminders.
Correct. It's been a
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Jane, for cutting you off. It's been a fantastic process to see, you know, the frustration in the beginning of, you know, just how are we going to get there, and seeing all the money outstanding. And we've actually previously, prior to ARMA Group, we've had to write off a lot of debts, dealing with younger students and small families and small businesses. Lodgement fees for debt collection agencies were significant, and then also the on costs. So it was, the debt itself was not worth handing over, if you can understand what I mean. Whereas, you know, and then the whole process, it was just easier for us to write it off, but all those little amounts add up in the end. And honestly, our saving grace was ARMA Group, because they have certainly been able to assist us with that whole rehabilitation process, and that working with our student cohort, which has been fantastic. So I'd highly recommend that if you deal in that sector.
That's really great to hear, Lisa. I think some of our clients here also have that fear, like, yeah, it's just small amounts, so let's just write them off. And then by the time, you know, you can see, oh, you've written off like 10K almost of invoices and debts, which is, obviously, at the end of the day, that's cash flow that should be going back into your business, investing to your people, you know, investing to your technology and so forth. So it's really good to hear. So how was the experience in terms of that debt recovery with ARMA? So obviously ARMA has given lots of great tips. I'm sure you've worked with them and they've given you all those tips plus more.
It's been extremely seamless, to be honest. It's been a joy, which is one of the things that we've always dreaded. I mean, when you look at debt collection, it's never an easy process. And in the light of the situation we've dealt with in the last 2 years with COVID, it's been very difficult. And but what I can tell you is it has been a joy working with the ARMA Group team. They have been fantastic. They've made our lives a lot easier. And they certainly have, like Eddie was saying, it has not damaged any of our customer relations. It has, in fact, in some instances, have strengthened it, because we've been able to really rehabilitate those students or those host employers or the customers we're dealing with, because it's understanding their situation and working with them. And like you, Jane, and Eddie have said before as well, is to, once we got a handle on our debt collection process, to work with the systems in partnership, to have ezyCollect there, and we could actually manage our workflows. So we adjusted it to suit our needs for our customers. And then if with the managing of our, you know, escalations, or managing our reporting structure within the ezyCollect system with the credit insights, we were able to actually jump on top of stuff easier and quicker. And then bringing the ARMA Group on board, we were able to, and we've been one of those customers who've done bulk handovers. And that has been fantastic to do a bulk transfer from ezyCollect to ARMA Group for handover. It's been a phenomenal process. And I don't think I would have ever said that talking about debt collection.
That's really good to hear. It's also good to hear when you say you're still doing business with those clients that you've escalated to ARMA, because I think that's key, right? People are scared that, okay, once they have gone through debt collection, that's the end of our relationship kind of thing. They're not going to be our customers anymore. But you want to maintain that, right? These are, years of customers, dealings and relationship that you've established. So you want to be able to continue that. So that's really good to hear.
Correct, 100%. And we've actually been able to do that, which has been fantastic.
That's good. And in terms of your payments experience using ezyCollect, is that, I know that you have all the payment options available to your customers. How's the feedback from your customers and in terms of having this available to them?
They've really, really loved it. So we use every part of your system, the SMS, the workflows, the emails, everything. And it has been phenomenal. So our customers, we've had a very, very good uptake, and the customers love it. So they can, deal with the SMSs or the emails when it comes through and make the payments at a click of a button, the pay now buttons, or having the alternative payment plan options. It has been fantastic, and actually has helped us a lot in bringing in the money quicker, on time, and also combating some of those very sort of sensitive issues that we have dealt with. We can also tell immediately if they viewed an invoice, if they viewed an email, and make those follow-up communications fairly quick and straightforward. So I think the communication lines between our customers and ourselves have opened up a lot more and have been more successful, is feedback that we have gotten, yeah.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Eddie, I just want to thank you as well. Obviously, great experience from Lisa, hearing from her firsthand. So that's really good. And I'm sure that relationship will continue because it's not, it's never ending in terms of collection process. So it's really good to hear that.
Yeah, certainly. It's it's been great to hear that positive feedback. I know the team loves working with Lisa, and I think it's that true partnership with all us three, really, with the ezyCollect at the early stage, working seamlessly with Lisa and her team, and then transitioning that debt once it gets to a certain stage for us to be able to step in there and get the results, has led to a really successful partnership. So we look forward to continuing that.
100%, and one that will continue for years to come.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you, Lisa. Now, I think I'm just doing a quick time check. We've gone to almost the end of our webinar. So just recapping the 5 winning strategies that obviously we've touched here across Lisa and Eddie as well. Make sure you have that complete payment experience for your customers. Definitely create a bridge between your customers and your AR team so they know what's going on both sides. Multiple payment options is the key from the beginning, from ordering all the way to debt collection. There's lots of technology and data there for you to utilize. In ezyCollect, obviously, our mission is to eliminate late payments, and we've actually packaged that, as you've heard from Lisa. We have all of those solutions in the platform today. So if you're not using any of them, let us know. And finally, obviously, with our great partnership with ARMA, we've heard some really great success stories. You have heard it firsthand from Lisa, the great relationship that she's established with ARMA Group utilizing ezyCollect. So don't be afraid of debt collection agencies. Eddie has really great advice for each and every one of you. I know there is one question that I'm going to go into very, very quickly, but just to let you guys know, because you have joined this webinar, we have asked ARMA to give our customers some free offer here, and obviously you all get a free consultation with ARMA to look at your red zone customers, right? When we talk about red zone customers, if you log into your ezyCollect, there is a portion there. So these are your customers that are over 60-day overdue, unless you set it up differently, but by default, they're 60-day overdue. So talk to ARMA. They'll give you a free one-on-one consultation with your business, what's best to do for these ones. You utilize ezyCollect to do bulk referrals. It's very easy, like Lisa said, click, and then it's over to ARMA. Obviously, ARMA will give you the best advice that you can possibly do, look at your T's and C's if needed, and how to move forward with these customers. And when you refer any clients for debt collection, you also get a free demand letter for those small ones that you want to chase. Is that right, Eddie? Very generous of you to offer this to our customers.
Yeah, certainly. We're more than happy to jump on the phone there and talk through some scenarios if you've got some tricky customers. No doubt potentially facing with some that may have been affected, I guess, by the last 12 months. more than happy to talk you through, I guess, some of the options that we might consider, and we can start with that free demand letter, no problem.
Fantastic. And obviously, separate to this ARMA offer, if you're not utilizing any of those payment solutions that we have, as well as the risk management, Lisa mentioned the credit insights, to look at, which of your customers are actually in the late stage risk. Talk to our team, and obviously we'll provide you also a free consultation to look into that and see if it's the right solution for you. Now, as we go to the end, we have two questions that we just quickly want to go through. One of them is, I think this is for you, Eddie, if you can help. Can ARMA collect debt from deregistered entity?
Yeah, tough one. Typically, if the entity is deregistered, then it makes it pretty difficult for us. There is a process, depending on the size of the debt, that you can go through to see if you can get them re-registered, but they shouldn't be deregistering if they still have debts owing. So sometimes you can call them out on that, but it is a tricky process. My tip there would be to ensure that you're monitoring that ABN through one of the credit bureaus, that if an update comes through ASIC on them looking to deregister the entity, we can get ahead of that prior to it being too late.
Yeah, absolutely. Monitor them now, Lucy. So if they're on ezyCollect, you can actually monitor your customers that you think are at risk, so that you will be, get a heads up first before they actually get to that stage. And we have a final question. I want to ask this, of course, Eddie and Lisa, and I'll give my input later on after you guys. But what do you think in terms of providing an installment payment options, right? We have a question here from Belinda. Do you guys have a formula for installment amounts? So I just want to hear from your experience and how you do this from your perspective.
Yeah, I can start. Most of our customers like to get most debts wrapped up within 3 months. So usually that's the guidelines that we usually try and stick by. Anything outside of that, I guess we deem the customer to be in some form of financial hardship. And if they are, then we've got a different process. But I guess, yeah, 3 months is usually the time frame that a lot of our customers like. And I guess it's just working with them, working backwards. How can we get this paid off within that period?
And I agree with Eddie. That works really well. I wouldn't go any longer than that. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. As you've heard from Lisa and Eddie, obviously 3 months is the best practice or the suggested one. But again, look into your business, talk to your customers and see how much from your business perspective can you actually extend that. Is it worth it to do a weekly payment rather than monthly payments, right? Or quarterly payments, depending on the service or the goods that you've provided for this, that you want to make sure that they can actually pay that, right? Again, looking at data, right? Can they pay it over 3 month period, or is it worth doing it in a 1 month and on a weekly basis kind of thing?
Yeah. Just back on the deregistered one thing to consider, that if you have a contract in place where you have a personal guarantee against one of the owners, then that may be an avenue for you to pursue, where you can then redirect your attention to the individual as opposed to the business. So it comes back to, I guess, setting those right terms and conditions, that if you do have that within your contract where you get them to sign personal guarantees, it gives you that extra little bit of protection, that if the business does fail or tries to deregister, you've got another avenue to pursue.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Eddie. I just want to address here and thank Katrina for giving us, it's not really a question, but it's a comment. She said that 100% ezyCollect have the all-in-one place process. So thank you so much for that, Katrina. I know you've had, vast of experience in credit management, so really appreciate your feedback on that one. And finally, we've come to the end of our webinar. Like I said, please talk to the ezyCollect team if you want to utilize any of the other solutions that we have that you're not utilizing yet. Obviously, we have this special offer with ARMA that you can have consultation, and you will all get an email on how to get this free consultation with ARMA. So just the final words, I will leave it to Lisa and Eddie. Is there anything you want to tell our attendees today, or some good advice, perhaps?
Yeah. Well, if you need extra help, if you're stuck on any tricky customers, feel free to reach out. We can run through some scenarios and see what might be the best or most appropriate collection method be able to try and get your invoices paid.
Fantastic.
And from me, please, if you have any debt collection issues or you need to, you're looking at a new system or process, please talk to these guys. I cannot recommend them any higher. We've worked with some significant debt collection processes and organisations in the past and have never had the success we are having right now. So thank you guys, and yeah, let's keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That's what we're all about. You know, so glad to hear the customer success. You know, that's having that customer-centric approach, extending it to our partners like Eddie, is really good to hear. And once again, thank you so much for all the attendees that have joined us today. Again, if you have any questions, please email me directly. But we'll also send you a copy of this webinar plus a special offer that we have for all our attendees. Once again, thank you and have a great day. Bye.